we were discussing the different functions, in Power Query, now that we are here, and part of understanding what is going on within your data is knowing how to use these functions, column distribution. So column distribution is the one that gives you the column bar. It shows as column bar, and it just shows you how your values are distributed. That is how many values you have, which are the distinct, and how many of them appear just once, which are the unique, okay? So that gives you a quick glance into what is happening. And then the quality, column quality, is where you then see how many is valid, how many or what percentage is valid, and what percentage of your data set or column has got error in it, and what percentage is empty, that's got missing value. So again, straight on, you can easily see where there are problems, okay? This makes it easy for you. If I go into this data set, I believe first one I loaded, and we're not using this first data set because it hasn't got profit as one of the columns in it. Sales data set has got profit. Apart from that, we would have just used the data quality one. Okay. But if we look into the data quality one, okay, I believe, yes, I was able to achieve for this data set to have a few data quality issues within it, okay? If we look at the first column, customer ID, there aren't any issues that we can easily see. It's 100% valid, and then we expect for customer ID here, yes, it's saying that we have 101 distinct and none of them is unique. That is, none of them appears just once. They are all repeated, basically. All of the values under customer ID within this data set are all repeated. That's the meaning of the fact that there's 101 distinct values. That is, if you bring all the values we have without repeating them, there's 101 values that appear, okay? But all of them are repeated. None is appearing once. That's the meaning of zero unique, okay? And for customer name, it's the same as well, okay? As it should be expected, because customer ID and customer name should be working hand in hand, okay? So, well, not really. So 100% valid, 0% error, 0% empty. So that's all right. But here it's telling us that we've got 18 distinct values. Okay, so 18 values that appear here. Okay, and that tells us that, because I was expecting it to tell us 101 distinct value as well. But now that I remember that some people share names exactly the same, that's why we don't always advise for us to use names as key, because 10 people could bear the same name, but their IDs would be different, would be unique. So the IDs will set them apart. So what this means is that we've got 18 names that are actually appearing here, okay, for 101 people. So we have 101 different customers, but only 18 names, which means we are having a few people bearing exactly the same name, which is not quite something that's very common for 101 people in a data set, and 18 names. That's quite, like a bit far-fetched compared to the real world, but it's not impossible. Okay, what that tells me is that we could be having so 101, 1003 the customer ID 1003, which is Emily Davis. Okay. But we could actually, as a matter of fact, let me, instead of just explaining, let's look for one person, one name rather, because it tells us that we have 18 names. Let's look at Anna Mueller, you know, and see how many IDs. Okay, so this name, okay, fine, it's just one name, but because they've got all different IDs, the interpretation you give it is that, okay, Anna Mueller with customer ID 1085 is different from the Anna Mueller with customer ID 1023. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, but we now look at the email. Okay, that's why this data set is a data quality training data. Okay, we look at the email and they are all having exactly the same email, it would seem. Anna.Mueller, you know, except for the where we don't have .com, Anna.Mueller. Okay, so if this sort of data set is how we have it in our database, then there's a problem, because you would expect that if the customer ID is different, these names belong to different people and their emails should also all be different, not exactly the same. Okay, finding this tells me to go to HR, you know, and clarify what are they doing, what's happening. So that needs to be sorted out because that is completely wrong. And we can also see with the phone numbers, you know, as well, that there's quite a few different phone numbers. So something is not right, you know, with that sort of data set. And it needs to be corrected. But what I was gonna bring out, because this data quality data set has got a bit more problem than the sales data, you know. For the sales data set, we can see it's all looking all valid, 100% valid. Almost all of the columns are telling us that it's 100% valid. None is really empty. So not much problem happening there that we can see on a face value, okay? But looking at the data quality one, for customer ID, we can already see that it's 100% valid, it's 100% valid, it's 100% valid. But we have seen again that despite all these 100% validity, a few things, looking at just the first three or first four columns, a few things are not right that need to be corrected, you know, within our database for this business, if that's how it actually appears, okay? So, but we can easily see as we move to phone, the fourth column, we can see that it's telling us that 88% valid. We've got 12% that are empty. So we've got missing values that we've got to look for. Same with city, 72% valid, 28% are empty, okay? So we start to see a bit of disparity with that first data set, okay? And of course, like I said, the first finding, looking at those, fine is telling us 100% valid, 100% valid, 100% valid, but are they really correct? When customer ID is 101 distinct value, but the name 18 distinct, okay, fine, they are all repeated. So I should be, if they are all repeated, the same person, let's look for someone else actually. Emily Davis came to mind before, okay. So the same name, different IDs, that normally would tell me that, okay, they are all different Emily Davises, okay, but their email suggests otherwise. Email should be distinct as well. So for emails, we should be having what we have for customer ID, okay, where it says 101 distinct, 0 unique. That's what we should have for email, you know, as well, is my understanding. And that's what we should have for phone number as well, okay? So that's something telling me that I should be at alert not to use this data set directly and contact, the database, IT database administrator or HR. HR will be my best bet, or IT department, as to why what is happening here. This is not correct. Okay. And I believe the same for CT as well. The CT, maybe not necessarily, but yes. Okay. So that is that about you using column distribution and column quality to look through what is happening in your data set, and I believe we saw column profile as well. And column profile just brings the column you have picked, and gives you different statistics as to what is happening with the value distribution. It highlights it more, gives you more values or to work on. There's 3 dots here. Okay, you can group by, you can group by value, group by text length, or you can copy, from those 3 dots. That's how to look through or peruse your data, for any red flags that you should be working on. Okay. I don't believe that's the end of it, like we said before, when you're working on data, your data analytics life cycle, we do know that uh, you tend to, what will happen is you would keep going back and forth. Chances are that sometimes you have gotten to analytics and you are analyzing, but something just, crops up, and you have to go back into maybe understanding the objective, looking for better understanding of the data, or maybe there's more cleaning that needs to be done because something was flagged, and you're not really getting this bit or this bit right. Okay, so that makes it sort of an agile process of managing. You can look at this as a project that you've been given to work on. So you'll be using agile project management mindset to work things through as you work within your Power BI or data analytics generally, not just Power BI actually. Okay, it's applicable to your work as a data analyst, no matter the tool that you are using. I'm very used to Power BI. That's why I just go straight to teachers. But like we said, there are other tools. There is Excel, there is SQL, and a whole lot of others there. Okay, the advice is always to start with one at least, start with Excel, okay? And then maybe Power BI or SQL, and just pick 2, max 3, and sit down to really master it and master it well. Okay, chances are that if you don't use it, you'll forget it. Okay, so that is that. Now we know that we've got to do all these work, our business objective. Okay, we've got to do all this on this particular data set. Okay, so we haven't necessarily sat down yet to look at exactly what is our business objectives are and how to start thinking them through what we have seen in this data set yet. Okay, so I think it's time to start marrying the two together, just so you would understand that, okay, what I've been asked to do I have enough data, or do I not have enough? Okay, do I have the right data set? Okay, am I on the right path? Okay, so sometimes you will do this by yourself. Sometimes you will need to go back to your stakeholders, maybe for better clarity, on the work that you have been given. Most of the time, I've been given something to do by a particular arm of the business. I would set a meeting maybe once every 2 weeks or once weekly, to just, go through what I've done so far, if it's looking like what they need it to be. If whatever they asked of me is not doable, sometimes it's just not doable with what you have. Okay, so sometimes you have to manage their expectations. Okay, what you have asked of me, I've tried, it's not workable. Can we do it this way? Is this way still, if we present it like this, would it still be something that's, valuable, that's bringing the value that you want from it, So because sometimes you just want to produce results no matter what, but there are some results that are just not gonna be produced, and that's just the truth. Okay, as much as we try, and it's best to let them know that it's just not something that can be done, not because it can't be done ever, but because within the scope of what we are working with, sometimes it could be maybe the kind of Power BI subscription that your work has given. Maybe there are some functions that are just not, happening with the Power BI that you have been given to work with. Okay, so that's we need to put in mind. Okay, up to this point, do we have any questions? Do I have people who have gone through this objective, and they have started getting their hands dirty on the work at all? Anyone? Anybody started already yet? Okay, so the first bit of this, it says that we need to improve the data quality of this work. Okay, business problem is that the company has been making these decisions using unreliable data. So our task is to identify missing values, duplicates, and inconsistencies in the data. That's our job, and for us to identify and fix the problem. Okay. Also to measure data quality, completeness percent, error rates, and to clean and standardize the data set. You see, I generated these, for the first data set, the one that's really got a lot of issues with it. That's data quality one. That's the one that I generated, that business objective for. Okay, because any business that has been working with this data set, obviously they've been making decisions based on wrong data, because we already found, just looking at these 4 or even 5 columns, we were able to find that there are disparities between customer ID, customer name, email. That can't be right the way it's been presented to us. Okay, so if that's what we've been doing, then absolutely wrong. You see why it's not enough for us to just look at what column distribution is it, or column quality? No, column quality. It's not enough for us to just look at the column quality where it's saying valid. It's 100% valid, no empty, no error. 100% valid, no empty, no error. Okay, there's a reason why column distribution has been added on, so that we can see how many values are there in terms of are distinct and are unique, and are they aligning, are they marrying together and making sense together, each of the columns, the way that they should. Okay, so it's not just about the text and numbers that have been put before us, but they've got to actually make sense. Okay, so, and where something is not adding up, chances are that actually something is not adding up, it's not right. And that needs to be sorted. Okay, so, and whoever is compiling our order table, and is, giving us this, or whatever system that we have used to generate this, it's got to stop. Okay, so I may need to generate a new business idea for this particular one. Did we find the same problem with this? Actually, I think there is the same problem. No, not necessarily. This is order ID. This is customer ID and customer name for the data set that we are going to be using. Let's see, customer ID and customer name, if it's the same problem that we've got. So it says 100% valid, 0% error, 0% empty for both of them, fine. Now for customer ID, it's telling us we have 499 distinct, 0 unique. So all of the values here are repeated, okay? But it's just for 499 that's repeated over 10,000 rows, because that's how much we have within this data set. But here it's telling us for their names though, it's telling us that we have only 5 names that are repeated. And yeah, none is not repeated. None is appearing once. Okay. So again, I start to have, a kind of a bell ringing, like, okay, how is that possible? Okay. The only possibility is that we actually have people who have same name. Many people are bearing Jane Doe. Okay. And obviously their customer IDs are different, but there must be something else to use, because that's quite a long poll away. It's not just 10 people. It's not just 10, 20, 30 people. Just 5 people, just 5 names. And we've got 499 people. As we've got 499 customers. And their names are just only 5 names in our database. That can't be right. Okay, that cannot be right. If I was presented with something like that at work, there's no way I'm proceeding without confirming that actually that's the truth. Okay, and how do I confirm what we had here? It was the email that completely then gave them away, because they all have the same email, different IDs for the same name, but same email. No way. Okay. And I believe it's the same thing that we are going to be having here, as well. Okay, this doesn't have email. This doesn't have email at all. Okay, so let's say that we've now been to, for this first data set, we've been to the HR, and HR is saying that actually we only have 18 names. So customer ID being different, 18 names being like that, is right. That's, yes, we have 801 customers and they all have the same name. Almost all of them have the same name, okay? But the mistake was that we gave them all the same email, same name, the same email. What can you do as a data analyst now, okay, to create the email in such a way that Emily Davis, okay, so let me showcase what I am trying to say. Okay, yes. So HR is saying that it's true. The customer with customer ID 1003, whose name is Emily Davis, okay, is different from the customer 1048, whose name is also Emily Davis. So all these, their customer IDs are correct, and their names are actually those names. But mistake made was that they all have same email. As a data analyst, how can you help to make their emails unique to them, such that Emily Davis with 1003, would have a different email to Emily Davis with 1048 and Emily Davis with 1084. how can you inculcate, you know, create a different email that separates each one of them, because this was a mistake on their part and they need your help, you know, as a data analyst to correct that. What would you suggest, or how would you go about this? I need us to think now. This is a classwork. This is a work for each and every one of us. We've been tasked with the job of making these emails unique, because all these different IDs are for different people, really, and we need to make their emails, you know, the same as unique as each one of them are. What would you do? What would you be thinking of? Or what suggestions, you know, would you give to the HR who is giving you this role, this job to do? How would you go about it? Any thoughts? I need help, because I can't do this part alone at all. Should we make it an homework?
Someone's hand is raised.
Okay. Ifeoluwa, please go for it. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So I think that you'd maybe write a code that flags out any email that is odd.
Okay. So any email that is odd. The only two values we have for this particular name, Emily Davis, is just emily.davis@email. So that's just a mistake. This is also supposed to be emily.davis@email.com, because all the emails should have .com at the end of their names. Okay. So let's say that we have fixed, let's look for Emily, that one, and fix it first, so that everybody replace value, so that everyone, you know, and I'm only concentrating on Emily Davis for now. Normally we should concentrate on all of them, but let's just narrow it down to Emily Davis at the moment. Okay, so I'm just gonna replace, trying to pick this up, replace values. Okay, so I'm just Control-C that and pasting that to put .com there, so that we have, okay. Okay, what have I done? The way I've done it is not accepting it, because you see, sometimes when you create solution, you may create more problems. Okay, now let me explain what happened there. Now we had most of them being emily.davis@email.com, right? But there's this particular one, and maybe some other ones there, that's just given to us as emily.davis@email. Okay, so what I've gone to say is replace this, you know, emily.davis@email with emily.davis@email.com. Okay, so let me open that, what it's done. So I've said, look for where you have emily.davis@email and replace it with emily.davis@email.com. So we now have this email, emily.davis@email.com. That is, it's gone on to each one of them, wherever is found emily.davis@email, which all of them has anyway. It's like a part of that email is every one of the emails have got that part anyway. So it's gone on to increase the .com, basically, for those ones that are already correct. And the one that wasn't correct now has emily.davis@email.com. So that solution was not right. because it's gone on to create a further solution. We don't want .com. Yeah, we don't want .com. There should be a different way, to achieve that is what this is telling us. Okay, let me see if I can quickly, because that's not really what I want to dwell on for now. So let me see if I can. No, it won't work. I want to say remove, oh gosh, remove .com. I don't want to use the longer method, which would have been the better method. You see, okay. Let me not dwell on replacing value and leave that alone for now. Okay. But Ifeoluwa, what you were explaining, please re-explain it.
All right, ma. So I mentioned that we should maybe write a code that flags out any email that is odd.
Okay, but you see, but normally forget the email, the one without .com on it. But all of these emails, now forget this first one, all of these emails, none of them they are all just the same, basically. Do you
So
understand? Yeah.
yes. So why I suggested that was I know that for most of these organizations they have emails that are specific to them. Like their emails end at a particular way, or it ends a particular way. So if one is odd, it automatically flags it out itself.
Yes, if one is odd. But the problem that we now have now is that everybody bearing Emily Davis, despite the fact that not all of them are exactly the same. The same email has been created for all of the Emily Davises. How do we look for a way to distinguish between each of these Emily Davises by their email, such that this Emily Davis with ID 1003, would still have Emily Davis in their name, because that's their name anyway, but maybe something else that would point us in the direction that, okay, is this particular Emily Davis that's got this email, or that particular Emily Davis has got that name. Okay.
Okay, we can maybe group by the customer ID.
Thank you. We can use their customer ID. Thank you very much, because their customer ID is unique to them anyway. So is there a way that we can put this for the first Emily Davis? Is there a way that we can put this 1003 as part of their email? For the second one, 1048 as part of their email. Maybe we'll just say Emily.Davis 1003 at email.com for the first one. Emily.Davis at 1048, Emily.Davis 1048, something like that. Okay, so that they are all not just having the same email, because that's not right, for any work setting. If we are claiming that all these Emily Davises are different people, and we are saying they are different people by the customer ID, because they all got different customer IDs. So that was a good suggestion, talking about their ID, because we can look for a way to add their customer ID into their email to correct that. And if we can do that, then that's data quality issue, as that part of the data quality issue we have is solved. Does that make sense to all of us? Or
yes, sorry, Eshodi.
yes,
Is it possible for us to create another column and match the customer ID with the email together to form a new column?
It is possible. We just need to decide, how do we want to do it? Do we want the 1003 to be in the middle? It can't be at the back, because we can't have .com 1003. .com would end any email. So wherever we are adding it, it has to be before the @ sign, the @ symbol rather. So this is where we now want to look for what is the best way to achieve that. Okay, that's the part that needs us, thinking. How do we want to go about adding this? Okay. It's 5 minutes to 9. I think we should pick that up tomorrow. What do you think? Should we pick that trying to, create that solution? Should we pick it up tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.